Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we're going to talk about Amazon releasing 10 million new products, YouTube membership expansion, Twitch being banned in China, Alex Jones being banned off of PayPal, and so much more, so go ahead and stick around. Okay, greetings Earthlings, welcome back to episode 137 of the BSP. My name is Bandrew, this is what I says. There are timestamps down below in the show notes in case you want to skip around, but if you got the time, I'd suggest listening to the entire episode. One last thing, if you are watching the video version and you want the audio version of the podcast, you can find that at bandrewsays.com, or conversely, if you're listening to the audio version and want the video version, you can also find that at bandrewsays.com. How convenient is that? Let's jump right into the news, and the first thing is that YouTube's gaming app and gaming destination on their website will be shutting down. If you were unaware of this, there was a separate app for gaming content and a separate website destination that you would have to go to if you want the fully featured gaming experience that YouTube wanted you to have. Turns out, YouTube and Google realized that this was very, very stupid, and they are shutting it down. They're going to be implementing the majority of good features from the gaming experience into the main YouTube app and the youtube.com website. And the justification for shutting down the gaming app and the movement over to the main platform is that it had a low adoption rate. And a lot of the gaming app development wasn't seeing the growth that they wanted to see because they did have an entire dedicated team to developing new features for the gaming app and the gaming website, but people just weren't using it, so they were paying people to make stuff that wasn't being used. So I am actually not surprised here. Want to know why? Because you could get all the gaming content by going to youtube.com. You could get all the gaming content by opening up your regular YouTube app. There was no use case where it would be necessary to go ahead and open up or download a secondary app to access the same content. There was no reason whatsoever. So what they will be doing is going ahead and adding a tab to the website similar to the trending tab on the app as well as on the website. So you will still be able to get a gaming-centric experience and get recommended content. And I think this may actually be good for gamers because it will get more visibility, and that could potentially lead to better discoverability for you as a gamer, but it may aid in your discoverability because I'm sure they'll focus on the big-name gamers. Next, we got YouTube memberships coming to channels with over 50,000 subscribers. A couple of months ago, or maybe a month ago, I mentioned that YouTube was launching a membership program for channels with over 100,000 subscribers, and the membership program is similar to Twitch or Patreon, where somebody can say, I want to subscribe or support this creator. I will give them $5 a month for access to exclusive content. And it was only rolled out for select channels over 100,000 subscribers. According to Engadget, they are going to be rolling this out for creators with over 50,000 subscribers. I have not seen it yet. I checked my dashboard on the YouTube Studio Beta as well as the Classic Studio Analytics thing, whatever the heck it's called. Saw no notification for this, so I don't think it's fully rolled out yet, or even if it's accurate. Not 100% sure there. But if I do get this, it would be interesting to see if people would be more willing to sign up for a membership on YouTube since that's where my content is hosted, or if they would be more willing to sign up for a Patreon monthly subscription or a per video subscription. But on that note, apparently YouTube is very selective of who they give access to this feature to because they don't want you to just say, go ahead and give me $5 and not release any exclusive content. They want you to be very intentional with what you're doing with the membership. They want you to offer actual exclusive and valuable content to your members. So with that being said, what kind of content should I create if I do get access to this feature? I was thinking about maybe an exclusive podcast where I release it once a week, but I don't know what I would talk about. And on that note, I keep saying that, on that note, I don't know if they have a similar feature as Patreon where you can have a special RSS feed where as long as somebody is still contributing to you, you get access to that podcast. But when they stop supporting you, you lose access to that podcast. I don't know how that would go, but I would love to hear from you guys. Do you have any ideas of what kind of exclusive content would be good to share with the members if I do get access to that feature? Would love to hear from you guys in the comments on YouTube or send me an email, askbandrew@gmail.com. Next, we got Twitch being banned in China. So apparently Twitch was banned in China this last Monday. It was put on the Great Firewall blacklist, so people were not able to access it from their web browsers. But additionally, it was removed from the Apple App Store, so people were no longer able to download it on the App Store on their computers or on their phones or on their iPads. So Apple is complying with the Chinese government censorship requirements. Now, I'm assuming that we will ultimately see a Chinese version of Twitch because that's something that frequently happens where they will ban a service or a website or an app and then create not an aggregate, but a knockoff of that. We saw that with Google, we saw that with Amazon, and now we may see that with Twitch because they understand exactly what is popular about Twitch, and if they control it, they will know exactly what content is going to be put on the platform. I think that may be a big motivating factor for why they're banning these places and creating their own version. That way it could be Chinese state controlled. So a lot of companies do seem to be getting banned in China, but the one thing that really bothers me about this is the censorship and the companies complying with those censorship requirements. Apple really does seem to have just bent over and said, yeah, Chinese government, please, may I have another? May I have another? It makes me lose a lot of faith in Apple when they just bend over and say, okay, yeah, sure, we'll go ahead and do that. Who's to say that Apple is not doing that with other governments now? Because if they don't comply with governmental requests, they will lose access to that huge market. With that being said, I do understand why Apple is doing this because there are 1.4 billion people, approximately, in China, and that is a big market and a lot of money. But should they just throw away their values and allow a government to control everything that is available to their citizens? That is a tremendous amount of control to allow a government to have. Oh, we don't want you to know that information, so we're going to go ahead and limit it. And we're not going to let you sell your devices here unless you comply with that request. I don't like that. That really does concern me. And I'll just end it by saying this. I do love Apple computers. I love my iPhone. I love Apple Watches. I love iPads. I love Google. I love YouTube. But I can't wait for a non-Apple, non-Google phone to come out, which we will talk about a little bit later. And of course, as I've been screaming about just waiting for it, the Purism Librem 5, I am very excited for that to come out, but there's a new alternative that is looking very attractive. Next, we got PayPal banning Alex Jones. They are giving Alex 10 days to find a new payment processor. And what Alex Jones was using PayPal for was to process all the payments and the purchases on his online store. PayPal came out and said they are severing ties with Alex because they found that his website promoted hate, discriminatory intolerance against certain communities and religions. Now, I have made it abundantly clear that I don't care one iota about Alex Jones, but this is starting to seem a little bit nuts to me. How long until people start finding out who someone they don't like banks with and starts shaming the bank to close that person's account so they don't have money? They can't function because they can't access their money anymore. This is a very scary road we're going down. We don't like what you're doing. We're going to pressure this company into limiting your ability to receive money. That is crazy. Am I the only person who's bothered by this? Now, I don't care about Alex Jones, but I do care about the precedent that this is setting. This is a very dangerous road to go down. All I will ask is, who's going to be the next target? Who's going to be the next person? Is it going to be somebody slightly less controversial than Alex Jones, and then somebody less controversial than that person, then somebody less controversial than that person, who's the next target? And then who's the follow-up target? This is dangerous. This is very dangerous that you are limiting access to financial institutions based on somebody offending you a little bit. I don't know. I could definitely see it going down the road. We should be over here. I just can 100% see this slowly getting worse and worse and worse. It is 100% possible that we start to see people aggressively attacking companies for allowing people to bank with them or allowing people to use their credit card service, Visa, MasterCard, Discover. They're all going to start getting attacked. It is a very slippery slope when you start to limit people's access to money and social media and platforms when you just disagree with them, you don't like them. And I don't think the argument, oh, they're creating violence, is justifiable in Alex Jones's case, because you could probably say the same thing about CNN, about Fox News, about all these mainstream media platforms, because guess what? The crazy people who commit acts of violence also watch those clowns on their TVs. It's not just the one who's very vocal and crazy about his conspiracy theories, it's also the mainstream folks that are causing problems. So I don't agree with the banning of his access to PayPal, but the main thing that I wanted to talk about in the conspiracy corner is who is the next target going to be? Because that is a very likely possibility where people start to attack banks or the credit card companies, or heck, even car manufacturers, Tesla. You use a Tesla? Oh, well, we cannot allow you to use that anymore. We're going to shut down your car because we don't agree with what you say. What is next? I'm trying not to scream too loud because it is a little bit early, but let's get out of the conspiracy corner because I got nothing else to say there. Okay, let's get to a good piece of news, and it is very short. It is from Twitter. Twitter is going to be allowing you to have a reverse chronological timeline. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for on Twitter for years. Since they rolled out the algorithm-based timeline where they show you what the best tweets may be, what we think you might like, people have been saying, no, give us reverse chronological order. Twitter is finally coming out and saying, okay, we will give that to you. Finally, thank you, Twitter. And F you to every other social media platform that decides, we want to show you this, we want to show you this. If I follow somebody, I want to be able to see what they post in what order. And Twitter is finally agreeing to that and giving into the countless requests. Next up, let's attack Twitter until they allow us to edit tweets. It's 2018 and we still can't edit tweets. But regardless, thank you, Twitter. I do appreciate you. Then we got the huge Amazon product announcement event where they announced a new product according to journalists every 1.5 minutes for an hour. So what would that be? That's a lot of new products. I'm not going to cover all of them because we would be here all day. So I will just cover a few of them. As far as new smart speakers, they have the Echo Dot, the Echo Plus, and the Echo Sub. The Echo Dot is $50, and it's 70% louder than the previous versions and previous generations of this. And now it has a cloth covering, so it looks a little bit nicer. It doesn't look like a cheap plastic donut. Then you got the Echo Plus, which is $150. It will also be cloth covered, and it has a temperature sensor in it, which will allow it to detect the temperature, the ambient temperature of the room, and tell your ALEXA app to do something about it. Change the temperature on the thermostat, or turn on some Alexa-powered fan. Dang it, I said the word. I apologize. And it's also apparently better sounding. I think that's a pretty neat feature, the temperature sensor, but I don't know if it will have much value or much use unless you are really bought into the ALEXA ecosystem where you have a temperature, a thermometer, a thermostat. That's the word I'm looking for. Then we got the Echo Sub, $130, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a sub speaker that will add bass to your existing Echo speakers because they lack low end and they don't sound very good. So if you want to remain in that ecosystem without buying any third-party speakers or anything along those lines, you can buy the Echo Sub for $130 and get some really big bass. Next, we got a new version of the Echo Show, $230, a 10-inch screen, an 8-mic array, and they are marketing this as the best microphone system that they have shipped to date. And they are also adding the Silk browser, which is Amazon's browser, Firefox browser, and a Skype app, so you don't have to do the drop-in calls. You can actually log into your Skype account and have video calls and audio calls that way. So that's a really cool looking device. They have improved it quite significantly, where the last one looked like a pile of junk. Not a huge pile of junk, but a bit of a pile of junk, where it had a tiny screen and a giant speaker grill. Now it has a majority screen rather than just a fraction of the front being a screen. But really cool looking device. They're really iterating on all of their stuff really well. But moving on, Echo Auto, $25 starting out as invite only, so not everybody will get access to this. And then when it does fully roll out, it will be $50. And it is essentially just an Echo that sits on your car's dashboard, connects to the Amazon servers using your phone's connection, and it will play through your car's speakers. This is another one of their devices that has 8 microphones inside of it, and they're saying that this will allow the microphone or the Echo Auto to hear you over music playing through your speakers, over ambient road noise, or over cars driving past you honking at you because you drive too slow. But it will allow you to access and gain map directions from whatever your preferred navigation app is, which is really cool that they are not locking you into one of them. You should be able to use Apple Maps, Waze, Google Maps, and I'm sure there are others that will be implemented as well. Then we got the Echo Input. This is $35, and it's essentially an Echo Dot without any speaker. You can think of it just like the Echo Dot, where you had the 3.5 millimeter output, and you would connect that to your stereo receiver. This just removes the junky speaker that was in the Echo Dot, which is very nice to see. Save a few bucks and get exactly what you need. And this is what I'm going to recommend you do with this. Go ahead and buy this, get the 3.5 to 3.5 millimeter jack or cable, and then plug this into your Apple HomePod. Would that be spooky enough? An Amazon Echo speaking through your Apple HomePod. At least then you would have a useful home assistant or voice assistant. You hear me, Apple? I'm poking fun at you. Roasted. Sorry. Then you got Alexa Guard. This is not a device, but it is a service, and it's going to use your Echo devices to fulfill that service. So you need to buy into the Amazon Echo ecosystem in order to gain this benefit. And what it will do is send you recordings if it hears breaking glass or if alarms are detected. I'm sure if you have Echo cameras, it will take screenshots or a video of somebody breaking into your house and send that to you as well. And I think that's really, really cool. One really interesting thing here is that it will offer away lighting, which will use machine learning. That's such a popular phrase. Why do they need machine learning for this? But they will use machine learning to turn on and off your lights as though you are actually home to deter people from breaking in. Why not just say, hey, we'll turn your lights on and off? Why are you saying, oh, we'll use machine learning? Quit using these not trigger words. What would they be? I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. And then next we got a really cool device, a microwave. The Amazon Basics microwave. That is right, Amazon is releasing a microwave. And how much is that microwave, Bandrew? It's only $60. A $60 microwave. I am pronouncing it very clearly because I want to say microphone. It is not a microphone, it is a microwave. $60. It will not have microphones inside of it, but it will have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So that will allow you to speak into your Echo device, and the request you make of your Echo will be sent to the microwave. That's the way they are keeping it so cheap. They don't have a speaker in it. They don't have microwaves in it. Microwaves, microphones. Gosh, it's so difficult. Micro. They both have micro in it, and waves and phones. Ugh, this is such a hard product to talk about when I talk about microphones so much. Oh my God. That's it. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. It's a really cool device if you need a new microwave. Then we got an Echo wall clock, $30, and probably my favorite device that was announced at the Amazon event. And it's so mundane and boring, it's perfect for me. I love the mundane and boring. It looks like a standard analog clock, which I love, but it does have 60 LED lights surrounding the entire clock face. All the second ticks on the clock face are LED lights. And you can set timers using your Echo device, and it will send that information to the clock, and it will count down using those LED lights. And it will also set its time automatically and adjust for daylight saving. How awesome is that? I don't think I've changed my wall clock in probably 2.5 years. So it has been an hour off for probably a full year. What are you going to do? This would fix that. Next thing we got is Amazon Smart Plug, $25, does exactly what you would expect it to. It turns on or off the device that's plugged into it, and it will connect over your Wi-Fi. And there was a lot more stuff announced, but that's the stuff that seemed interesting to me. And they keep making the Amazon Echo ecosystem so much more interesting, and they are so far ahead. They are miles ahead of all the other smartphone device, not smartphone, but smart device or smart home device manufacturers, and their ecosystem keeps getting more robust. So good on you, Amazon. Now we got one piece of very short security news, and it would be that Delta is going to be using facial recognition at the Atlanta International Airport if you are traveling internationally. Now, this will be optional, so if you are traveling internationally, you can say, you didn't say the magic word, don't scan my face, I don't want you to have that, you creepy weirdos. And that's really it. If you are traveling internationally at any airport and they want to scan your biometric information, whether it be your fingerprint, whether it be your face, do not let them do that. Be a curmudgeonly old conspiracy theorist and say, no, I don't want you to do that. Go ahead and pat me down. As Bill Burr would say, he doesn't want to get cooked alive when he goes through the X-ray machine, so he just makes them wand him. He does the wand on him, something like that. I don't know. So don't do this. Don't let them start to implement this kind of technology and just be okay with it. It's terrifying having all this stuff rolled out. But now let's jump to new products. We got 2 of them, and the first one is what I was referencing earlier in terms of a good alternative to the Purism Librem 5. It is called the Punkt MP-02. That is Punkt MP-02. And this is a dumb phone. It is a dumb phone. If you look at it, it looks like some old school calculator. All it has is a number pad with the alphanumeric characters on those numbers. It has a contact book. It has a calendar. It has a timer, an alarm. And the thing that is really appealing about this is it has a Wi-Fi hotspot. So that is the main difference between the MP-01 and the MP-02. The MP-01 was 2G, so it would have died very soon as the 2G bandwidth gets auctioned off or just killed. And 4G is what their new version is. And you are able to turn that into a Wi-Fi hotspot and go ahead and connect your laptop or your iPad to that device and then use your iPad or laptop as you would need to in your average workday. The thing that's so appealing about this is we do have such a strong addiction to our phones and our smart devices that are always on. We're always getting notifications. We are always constantly being alerted. Hey, you need to see what's new on YouTube. You need to see what's new on Twitter. What's on Facebook? Who's on first? What's on third? You're constantly reminded to pick that up and get that little dopamine hit. This fixes 99% of that problem because it doesn't have any of that stuff. It doesn't have navigation, doesn't have Twitter, doesn't have Facebook, doesn't have YouTube. It has a 2-inch black and white screen. It is a really cool looking device, and it's crazy that I think it's so cool because it is so simple and so stupid. But the thing that is appealing about it is if you do need to actually get work done, you are able to do that. That's why I like it. Something else that's cool, it does have BlackBerry encryption and threaded text messaging, which the MP-01 apparently did not have. But how much does it cost? $350. It is ridiculously expensive, but I don't know. If you have a severe phone addiction, smartphone addiction, $350 is not too much to pay if it is going to give you hours every single day back. If you were spending hours on your smartphone and you get those 4 or 5 hours back, that would pay itself off in no time. How productive could you be in order to make that money back? I imagine you could do a lot, but I feel like I'm just advertising for them. I'm interested in the phone. If it ever does come out in the US, it's in pre-order right now. Maybe I'll pick one up and check that out to see if I can survive on that. I already reverted back to an MP3 player. We'll talk about that on a later episode. Then there are 3 new GoPro Hero 7s. $200, $300, and $400. If you are interested, on the YouTube video, I will have a listing of the features up on the screen, but the only really interesting one is the most expensive one. I think that's the Hero 7 Black, and it comes, the big update, the big focus, the big selling feature is the stabilization, which they are calling Hypersmooth, and there are a lot of journalists saying this is incredible. The handheld footage looks like it comes from a gimbal stabilized camera. I don't know. I have not looked too much into it. And it will also allow you to stream to Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Vimeo if you connect it to your phone. It has a time warp feature, which is their time-lapse mode. And the lower-end models do have a built-in battery, which sucks. I rely 100% on having a replaceable battery because sometimes I will have to re-record an entire podcast, and I don't want to keep the GoPro Hero 6 plugged in all the time. So I love the fact that it has replaceable batteries. Now, let's go ahead and jump to what you had to say. The first thing comes from Nadoosh. He says, Google Project Dragonfly is already implemented by many governments, and one I am sure to say is in Syria. P.S. Not by Google, but by some other way. So Nadoosh, I do appreciate you sending that in, but given that you are making a statement that is certain, I would ask you what kind of sources you have to clarify that or justify the statement that that is being implemented in Syria. Do you have any articles, any journals, anything that would prove that that has been implemented in Syria where they have the ability to censor all searches? I mean, it's already rolled out in China. Well, I guess they haven't rolled out Google Dragonfly in China, but they do have the Great Firewall. So I do understand that similar approaches to online access have been rolled out, but I don't know if Google Project Dragonfly has been rolled out or implemented anywhere else. But thank you very much for the comment, and if you got that proof, go ahead and link it to me in the video comments. Then we got a comment from CZ Daniel. With the number of blackout front-facing cameras I've seen, from professionals to the most boring people imaginable, I am shocked that nobody makes laptops with physical circuit break switch for the camera and mic. CZ Daniel. Those do exist. Guess who does it? Purism. They have Linux-based laptops that have kill switches for the camera, for the microphone, for Wi-Fi, for Bluetooth. Just like they will with the Librem 5, if I am remembering correctly. So they do exist, but they are very limited. I don't think you will find that on a Windows PC, and you definitely will not find that on a Mac PC. A Mac PC? A Mac computer. But thank you very much for asking that. Then we got a comment from SoundSpeeds. He says, I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a second. Considering how awesome Apple Maps was at sending users to incorrect and unsafe locations across the globe, I cancer wait to see how many times emergency services are called on Apple Watch users that get mad and punch their passenger side car seat, flop down in the bed at the end of the day, or casually toss their watch on their carpeted floor before taking a shower. I'm already laughing, but time will tell if I'm just amusing myself. So to answer a few of those questions, it won't alert emergency services if you take your watch off of your wrist, because the watch detects when it is not on your wrist and it automatically locks it and it stops collecting that kind of data. So taking it off and throwing it across the room or punching something is not gonna alert emergency services. Possibly, if you were to flip back onto a bed, it may detect that as some sort of fall, but you would just go ahead and say it would probably start beeping or vibrating, and you would just click, no, I'm okay. I just laid down on the bed, and over time, it will learn what the behavior looks like when you are flopping down on your bed. So I don't think we will see this alerting emergency services too much. Although I do think we will see some false alerts of emergency services, I would prefer that a few false alerts go out rather than somebody dying because they've fallen and hit in their head. I think it's a small price to pay, but I'm sure they will improve it over time. And hey, if you think it's some stupid thing that's going to waste a bunch of time, don't buy one. Problem solved. And the last comment comes from Antoine. I've got a Behringer Euphoria UMC-22 audio interface. My condenser microphone is plugged into the mic port of the interface, and the interface is plugged into my Windows 10 laptop. How do I get my voice to record left and right instead of one side? Thanks. So, Antoine, I believe people answered you in the comments, but I want to put this in this episode in case somebody else out there is having the problem. So, in your DAW, which is your digital audio workstation, you will be able to make an audio track that is mono. That's what you want to do, and for the input, you will want to select input 1. Input 1 is the microphone input, and what mono does is it says, okay, it's just a single audio source, and it will just be in the center of the mix, i.e., it will come out of the left and the right. If you have a stereo track, it will be inputs 1 and 2. Input 1 will be on the left side, input 2 will be on the right side of your speakers or your headphones. Input 1 is the microphone input. Input 2 is the instrument input. So if you had anything plugged into the instrument input of the UMC-22, that would come out of the right side. So if you're just doing voiceover in your DAW, make a mono track and have the input selected as input 1. If you are streaming using OBS or anything like that, I believe they do have down mix to mono or make mono source. Something along those lines. I don't know. I don't stream enough to know how to do all of that stuff, but I know that is an option in almost all streaming services. So I hope that helps, Antoine. Thank you very much for the good question. And now let's go ahead and jump to my favorite part of the podcast, the Ask Bandrew segment. All right, just a reminder, if you got any questions, go ahead and send them to askbandrew@gmail.com, and I may answer them on an upcoming episode of the podcast. First email comes from Chaz. He says, Dear Bandrew, I apologize in advance if you've already answered this question in previous podcasts, but I am curious to know if you plan on upgrading your main camera at some point in the near future. I could be wrong, but it seems you've used the same video setup for a long time. Have you considered upgrading your DSLR body, lens, or switching to a mirrorless camera like the Panasonic GH5 or Sony A7 III? So Chaz, that is a very good question, but please do not tempt me. I have gone down the rabbit hole of researching new camera bodies, new lenses, so many times. I've spent hours, I have wasted hours going down that rabbit hole, adding my dream kit into my Amazon cart or my BSW or my Sweetwater or B&H shopping cart, and then realizing, oh, I'm not going to do this, and then just delete it all out because I don't want to accidentally spend $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 on a camera. Now, the reason that I was considering looking at other cameras, particularly the GH5 and G7 or the A7, is because they do shoot beautiful footage, but mainly they have clean HDMI out, which Canon cameras do not have, at least the Canon 70D or the T6i. They do not have clean HDMI out, meaning when you output from the HDMI port, it still has the settings from the camera. Now, with the GH7 or the G7 and the A7, you would be able to run that into something like the Elgato Camlink and use your mirrorless camera as a webcam, which would look 100 million times better than a Logitech C922. So that was the motivation behind me looking into these camera ecosystems and considering upgrading. But I realize I stream so rarely. Would it really be worth it? I don't think so. People come to my channel not because they're looking for gorgeous product shots or anything along those lines. They are coming to hear what a microphone sounds like or look and see what kind of specs an interface has. They care significantly less about the video quality than they do about the audio quality. So instead of spending $500 or $700 or $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 on a new camera rig, I've just decided to spend the money I would on that on microphones and audio gear instead, because that will provide people with more value on my channel in my scenario. So I do appreciate the question, and I have been tempted in the past, but I just decided not to go down that road and spend my money on more content. Next comment or next email comes from Tim. He says, "Hey Bandrew, so my wife was watching a Hallmark movie and this mic fail popped up. Looks like a newer NW700 on a Rode PSA-1. Cheers, Tim." Tim, thank you very much. I love seeing these microphone fails, and if anybody listening to the podcast is interested in seeing this, I will have the video, or I'm sorry, the image, the screenshot of this microphone fail on bandrewsays.com in the video version of the podcast. So if you are not interested in going to the bandrewsays.com site, I will go ahead and describe the photo to you. The photo is of a guy sitting in a room with gold records behind him, which would imply that he is a very talented recording artist or a recording engineer. Yet in front of him is a newer NW700 with a pop filter in front of him, and he is speaking into the top of the NW700. Now, the problem with that is the NW700 is not a top address or an end address microphone. It is a side address microphone. So let me go ahead and extend an offer. Hallmark channel, if you ever need an audio consultant to come in and make sure you are setting up your audio gear properly, even if it's just for a shot, if you want to have that level of credibility and have people believe you a little bit more, go ahead and call me. I'll give you a really good hourly rate. I would love to consult for you and correct all these silly mistakes. But Tim, thank you very much for sending that in. And if anybody else has some good microphone fails or they see them on TV, send those in to askbandrew@gmail.com. And the last email comes from Katie. She says, "Wanted to let you know I really like the mic you've been using the last few weeks. One of my favorites. Question for you. I see so many YouTubers add advertisements into the middle of their videos, sometimes 3 ads in a 20-minute video. You haven't done that. Can I ask why? Not that I mind the lack of ads, but I enjoy supporting you. Feel free to read this on the air or now." Okay, Katie, thank you very much for the email. I'm glad you were liking the microphone, which was the MD441U. On that note, it was a faulty unit. So CZ Daniel, if you are still watching or listening to this, don't get smug. Don't get smug with me. I know you were implying that it was broken and I was denying it, but you were right. You were right. It wasn't a terrible problem with the microphone, but given what it cost, I sent it back to them for repair, and hopefully I will get it back in pristine working order. And then I'll maybe have to retest it. But thank you very much. I'm glad you liked that microphone. Now, as far as the mid-roll ads on long-form videos, a lot of YouTubers do have that, but I decided against putting those ads in my videos based on my personal, not belief system, but my personal experience with mid-roll ads. And that stems from Facebook videos. I rarely go on Facebook, and there has been a few times where I've gone on and I have started watching a video. It doesn't disclose, hey, there's going to be an ad at this time, at this time, at this time in the video. But right when it gets to a good part of the video, they jump to an ad and I just rage quit the video. I say, I'm not going to support this. This is stupid. So I decided not to put those in my videos because I understand how much I hate them, and I assume somebody else out there would hate them just as much. Additionally, I just launched the Bandrew Says podcast channel, and we're not monetized. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't put them there. So there's multiple levels to it, but ultimately it does come down to I hate mid-roll ads so much that I don't want to put anybody else through that, even if I was able to. And also, I guess I'll say this as well. I have so few views on the Bandrew Says podcast videos that it wouldn't be worth it. 200 views, 500 views, 1,000 views, 2,000 views, that's not enough to justify giving 2,000 people or 500 people a really bad viewing experience, because that would translate to, what, $1, $2, $3? And you could be pissing off 500 people and they say, I'm never watching this again. So if you do want to make a little bit of money, maybe just do a pre-roll, but don't do 5 mid-roll video ads. I can't stand that. But thank you very much, Katie. Appreciate the email. And thank everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for listening. I appreciate you guys. If you do want to find out more, again, I will do one last plug. BandrewSays.com. That has all the audio posts, all the video posts, everything that you could possibly need. Want me to answer your question? Send it to AskBandrew@gmail.com. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, @BandrewSays. I will talk to you all next week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I think I repeated myself. I'll see you later. Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production, your executive producer of Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.